Oh, look, it even says my name.
Yeah.
Daniel.
Whoa. I don't know why you don't go by Dano. That's a great.
I do sometimes, but
I
don't know. I mean, I do, but like I just for some reason when I did the Zoom thing, I just said Daniel.
I got you.
It's way more boring that way.
Nice. All right. Well, let's start talking.
Okay.
Cool. She's joining.
She is.
What's up? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. How's it going?
It's okay. I have to go to work at like 6 tonight, so I've just been spending the day. I'm doing like this online festival that I forgot about.
Oh.
Oh man.
So it's been really interesting to I woke up early for a lecture, and then I was like, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's through the Engler, is that right?
No, the festival is Splice. I guess in like the non-COVID times, they do it at Western Michigan University, and it's like an electroacoustic based festival. So mostly a lot of composers so far that I've met. I haven't really met any other performers.
Cool.
So you always kind of feel like you're put on the spot in a way, you know.
Nice. Speaking of on the spot, Dan, this is Gabi. Gabi, this is Dan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. How are you?
Okay.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good.
Or is it Gabi?
So that's like the whole thing. I'm named after my mom's friend who's from Germany.
Okay.
And so like she pronounces her name Gabi, but like I also recognize that like I never wanted to be that person who introduced myself with like an affect. So like
Sure.
Gabi is fine. Gabi is like, sometimes people say it, I'm like, oh, who are you? You know?
Well, I probably will keep saying Gabi just because I'm used to it.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I'll slowly work my way into Gabi.
Yeah, it is no rush.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, both of them sound really cool. You've got a really cool name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The last name is great. Vanek.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Vanek,
I've always wondered about that. I've always said Vanek. Is that right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Not Vanek.
Okay.
No, not Vanek. No, just Vanek. Like almost one syllable.
Vanek.
Vanek, yeah.
Like that fast. Wow. Great.
Is the audio okay? Because I'm using my phone as my webcam and microphone, but if needed, I have my interface so I could grab like a mic.
It seems a little clippy. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, let me just check the audio settings. Maybe I can turn off original sound. Is that better?
It's still got a little bit of a pop to it. I don't know though.
Okay.
It's fine. It doesn't matter.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Dan didn't hear a thing. He thinks I'm.
I didn't hear it. Nope, I don't. I let Eric handle all of the noise complaints because he's better with the audio stuff than I am.
Better with noise.
yeah, he's better at. Well, I guess we both make our own noise in our own little way.
Yeah.
But as far as managing the noise, Eric is way better.
I'm the noise manager.
Yes, noise manager. Yeah.
Any noise Karens, come see me.
I'm the noise assistant.
The noise assistant manager.
Noise Karen is my like new band playing at Gabe's for sure.
Well, damn. Can I be in it?
That's great.
My new thing is to just ask everyone if I can play in their band. Apparently.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
There you go. That's what every interview should be about. You should ask, hey, can I play in your band?
Starting new bands. Hi, we asked you here today to start a new band.
Start a new band.
Perfect.
That's what we always do, and by the end of the episode, record an album.
Oh my God, no.
Man, that's like a game show right there.
Oh yeah. Can you create a band and an album in an hour? Yeah.
Dude.
I kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah.
Speaking of asking of people to be in their bands, I think I just did that on Saturday to Gabi.
Oh, Justin was there, right? Because I feel like this is like Justin's thing, and
I'll ask Justin.
Yeah.
So I did. Yeah. I got to see Gabby perform with Justin Comer and Jake. Is Jake's last name Jones?
Yes, not Jacobs.
Jake. Oh yeah, right. Jake Jones. That was part of the PS1 Open Air Festival, and it was at the old Uptown Bills, which was cool. And a personal side note, it was the first show I've been to since May 4th of last year, which also was a Gabi Vanek and Justin Comer production. So,
Hey, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, it must have been March 4th though.
Oh yeah, March 4th. Right. Yeah. That's right. Yep. Yeah. So I waited a while just to see you guys again.
Oh yeah.
That was like right before everything went crazy, right?
It really was.
Like the week before. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I'm trying to think. The last show that I've been to was some cover band was playing some sort of reception in Muscatine.
Oh, nice. Was it Lefty in the Spinner?
It wasn't Lefty in the Spinners.
We'll try to keep the Muscatine inside jokes to ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, we'll try to do that.
Anyway, speaking of locales, I've always wanted to ask you, Gabby, where, because you're not from Iowa even originally, let alone Iowa City. So where did you come from?
Oh man, that's tricky because I've been in Iowa now for 11 years, which is the second longest place I've ever lived. So before I moved back to Iowa City, I was in Wichita, Kansas. And then before Wichita, I was in Iowa. And then before Iowa, I was in like Southern New York. And then before New York, I was in Florida. So I've kind of really traversed. But Iowa, I lived in Florida for 12 years. So, and Iowa is now 11. And I say 11 because even though there was like a 2.5-year gap in there, I kept my residency when I moved to Kansas. It was just easier.
Yeah.
And also my car insurance was cheaper to stay an Iowa resident for whatever reason. So I would always come back and forth whenever I had breaks. Cool. Between school and I didn't anticipate moving back to Iowa after I left grad school. It just kind of happened.
Oh yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
So is that what brought you to Iowa the first time around, was school?
Yeah. Yeah, I majored in bassoon. So like I really liked the studio professor, and like it was really nice that there was like one of my best friends I met the day I auditioned.
Nice.
Kind of thing. So it's I don't know, Iowa City is very like comfy, I think, in certain ways. And then other times, like during football season, I'm like, I want to move. You know?
Yeah.
So
every Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible place to live on those days.
Yeah.
Yeah. However, if you're going to be stuck in Iowa, I would say Iowa City's the place to be compared to like everywhere else in the state.
Yeah.
I hear Des Moines is like hip now.
Quad Cities is getting there too. There's a lot of really cool stuff.
Oh man, that's about the best scene in the state.
Have
you hooked up with any of those people, Gabby? At all?
I played at what's the club called? Rostock's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is amazing.
Yeah. It's such a cool spot. I can't remember the name of the guy who is like the booker or whatever there, but I know there's like a really wonderful like metal scene out there too.
Yeah.
So I've been meaning to like kind of creep, like I really want to go to Wake Brewing.
Yeah.
Which is that like, and like I didn't realize like they're a big deal. Like the Decibel Metal and Beer Festival has them on tap.
Nice. Wow.
So I was like, okay, cool. I finally had their stout for the first time last night. A friend brought a can to me and I was like, oh, this is like actually good.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I have had a couple of I've had a couple of their beers and they're pretty good. I got to play Metal Fest or something. I don't know what it was.
Oh, cool.
I got I had a lot of beers. That's how I'll put that. And it was.
What band was that in, Eric?
In the Mouth of Radness.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. I always forget you were in that band.
Yeah, that's my MO.
Yeah.
If anyone remembers, I was in a band that I didn't do my job. I accidentally came out of a shadow, and they were like, "Oh, wait, I saw you." It's terrible.
I'm right here.
But yeah, the other night, Gabby had on a full body moss hunting suit. So
ghillie suit.
What's it called?
A ghillie suit.
Ghillie suit. Wow.
Wait, hold on. Did I hear that right? Did you say killing suit?
Gilly.
Gilly.
For a second, I thought you said killing suit. I'm sorry. I was like, whoa, that really got intense, didn't it?
Damn, now we have to start that band too.
Killing suit? Well, I mean, I guess you used it to kill deer.
Yeah,
so it does kind of work. I forgot why I bought it, to be honest. Because I was in a band with Vero Smith called Body Punishment. And our first gig that I think it was like our first and last, maybe we played 2 gigs together. I can't remember, but our first show, it was like sea monster themed. So I wore
That's
a ghillie suit, and she was like a crazy mermaid, and we like did a noise cover of one of the Little Mermaid songs.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Actually, that's one thing that I noticed, Gabby, is that a lot of these projects or bands, I don't know if they're projects or bands, had awesome names like Body Punishment. That was the first thing that popped out at me. But then I'm looking at DEATHBAG, Drop Bear, Unblessed Rest of Us. These are awesome names. So are these all like are they kind of each like sort of like different like sounding projects? Like what could you kind of maybe explain like sort of some of your projects to us?
Yeah, absolutely. I was so Body Punishment was kind of like a joke band that I made with Vero a couple of years ago that was supposed to be kind of each time we played or released something was supposed to have a different theme. So it would be Body Punishment presents X. And like so we would find like words that like didn't work together, like Body Punishment presents Blood Bag, and then like we'd have like a theme based on that. And so like our first I think presents was Oyster World or something so, and hence like the Little Mermaid theme. Drop Bear is my like free improv duo with Justin Comer on saxophone. And that kind of came to be because he's in a band called Wombat. And I thought it would be funny if we just had marsupial themed things. But I guess like, since my aesthetic is a little bit more sinister, Drop Bear seemed to be a good name. I can't take credit for the Unblessed Rest of Us. That's Justin's project and a name that he took from an article that came out in the 80s about, what was it? Like essentially about sampling. So like people who, take from others, like what about the Unblessed Rest of Us who don't have that same creative process? And I'm sure if Justin winds up listening, he'd be like, oh, you got the story all wrong. But
that's how I understood it. It was a kind of a fair use article, and the author basically said that some people want to create but they're the unblessed rest of us that aren't able to necessarily make those things, and so they should be able to take them, I think. So I think you got it.
Yeah, okay.
As far as I understood it. Yeah.
Plunderphonics was the word.
Yeah, right. Plunderphonics. And then DEATHBAG.
Oh, yeah. So DEATHBAG, I don't know how the name came to be, or I don't remember, but that's my project with Chris Wiersma. And the whole thing is that we wear like sacks over our heads when we play. And we're actually going to rehearse tomorrow, but we had one show at Purgatory right before COVID hit. And so we haven't we've discussed ideas, and we have a lot of stuff that we've recorded in practices, but we haven't really played together since COVID. So I'm excited to get that project
and together. It was awesome. I was at that.
Oh, hell yeah.
It was very cool. It was with that fella from Ono.
Oh yeah, right? Jordan Reyes.
Yeah. That was really cool. Knowing Chris Wiersma, I would guess that DEATHBAG is from Twin Peaks, because Killer Bob says, I'll catch you with my death bag. And so I would guess. Yes. And if Chris, that's not true, then you can just tell me.
I'll have to ask him.
Let us know.
Yeah.
And if I'm right, my detective skills are killer.
Yes. Well, especially if it is Twin Peaks. Eric and I talk about Twin Peaks quite a bit.
It comes up a lot.
I've never watched it. So it's on my to watch list for sure.
It's hard. It's one of those things. I love it a lot, so it's hard for me to actually give any sort of unbiased opinion on it. I mean, I do understand there are dumb things and some parts are boring and stupid, but the rest of it's really great.
Well, and I've also found that recommending Twin Peaks is like recommending an early Ween album. And the reason why I say that is because you think it's great. You're just like, oh, it's amazing. But then you forget that there are people out there that just will never understand it. I made the mistake of recommending The Pod to somebody. And I was like, yeah, this is an amazing record. You should listen to it. And they like sold it the next day, So, and that's kind of how
I get it.
You're either going to get that type of reaction or you're going to get, oh my God, thank you. This changed my life.
Yeah.
From either Ween or Twin Peaks. They're the same thing.
I would say anything worth a shit, that should be the response. Like, if anyone just said, I don't know, it's pretty good. Like, why'd you even suggest it?
It's like equally accessible.
You should only suggest things trying to piss people off. I mean, what's the point? Anyway.
You know that they're probably not going to like. It's the funnest.
Yeah, it's the best thing.
I always love hearing those reactions. Anyway, sorry, Gabi.
No.
We go off a lot. So
now I have to watch Twin Peaks and come back.
That sounds great.
Have you listened to Ween before?
No, I haven't.
You should listen to Ween too. And
you should listen to The Pod. Apparently.
And watch Twin Peaks. But not at the same time. If you do it at the same time, let me know what it's like, because I may try it, but I want to wait until somebody else tries it first to see what happens.
Or you could try to watch or listen to something that came out in the last 30 years. If you want.
There you go. One of the two.
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. All those things are great, but I have this problem where I suggest things that I think are amazing, but I haven't actually watched or listened in like 15 years. And then people are like, I don't know, it was okay. And then I'll listen and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's kind of shitty. Like, I don't know. It happens to me all the time.
Have you ever recommended things that are amazing that you just never, ever watched or listened to?
Oh, shoot.
Like,
ever?
Things that like everybody else says.
Oh, like when I tell people they should read Kierkegaard?
Okay, what's that?
It's an author that I've never read, but
I've read Kierkegaard.
I thought that's what you meant, though. It's like, something you've never even experienced. Just tell.
Just tell people. Hey, you should check it out.
Yeah. Gabi actually has read Kierkegaard.
I have read Kierkegaard. I read him in grad school. I think what was his one of his like big philosophizing was like the concept of anxiety. I think. So I remember reading that in grad school, thinking it would help with like, because I have pretty bad stage fright, and so I was like, oh, maybe Kierkegaard would help. Kierkegaard does not help.
But a ghillie suit might.
Exactly. I like the idea of not. If I could have given my master's recital in a ghillie suit, it probably would have been 10 times better.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was. So did you get to spend a lot of time in the, this doesn't have anything to do with anything, the electronic music studio at the university, or was that not?
No, it's not that it wasn't a thing, but when I was here, like it was mostly a graduate level course. So I didn't have access to a lot of that equipment. And so all of my like electronicing was on my own terms.
Oh, cool.
Which is too bad, because I'm sure, I think things have since changed where they have a lot more options for undergraduates to do electronic music. Like I don't even think when I was here the composition was open to undergraduates.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So the School of Music has changed, but that was also when we didn't have a building.
Right.
So I think like becoming friends with some of like the doctoral candidates has been really interesting, how different their experience is. I can't say I know any undergrads. I would be curious to know like how, like what access to like contemporary performance practices they have.
The only reason I ask is that I think we saw each other at electronic studio composition performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't know if that was something you had also been able to participate in when you were there. So
no, I mean, I wish, like, in some ways, like, I sometimes think that it would be nice to go back to school just to have access to all of that equipment and technology, like even like the intermediate department in the art school with like the projectors. Stuff like that. I mean, I always forget, like, institutional access is like insane, you know, like for the stuff, like when I was like recording Ghost Actions with Will, like he had like a Neumann mic from Electronic Music Studio, and I was like,
wow,
dang, okay.
Yeah, I would have trouble with that. I'd be like, that microphone is more valuable than all of my gear put together. I know that's not true for you because you play bassoon,
right?
Which I can only imagine after working at. Oops, I said it. I've held fast to not saying where I used to work because I haven't talked shit on it, but I haven't been super nice. Anyway, the music store where Gabi and I actually met, those orchestral level instruments are outrageous. The price, I can't even understand it.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say about my bassoon, because like I'll probably be mugged if someone found out how much it costs, is that what they're selling it doesn't even compare to what I bought my instrument for, kind of thing. I mean, I'm sure they have some good stuff too, but like my instrument, like I had to get appraised, and like it has to be insured. Like it was like a whole process to even get the loan.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I worked with a guy there who was a double bass player, and the ones that we sold at the store, like the top ones are like, I don't even know, $7,000, $6,000 maybe. And he was like, oh yeah, these are I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like mine, literally, the one you can see in the background, came from the trash. I don't work there anymore, so they can't fire me. But yeah, so it's just like
music employers, they knock at your door. Like,
we're gonna need that bass back, the one we threw in the trash. But yeah, he said that when he told me the price of his bass, I couldn't even believe it. But that's one of the few differences I've noticed, and we've talked about this before, Gabi, and I've talked to Justin Comer a lot about it too. How cool Iowa City is that we have these different elements and different groups of people coming together to play music. So like me, I don't know anything musically, you know, but I get to play with people that have gone to school, that have graduate degrees in music and composition. And I think we kind of feed off of each other a little bit. The scenes come together, and it's like, oh, wow, I could learn a lot about how things are put together and composed and performed. And someone else might learn the joy of trying to let go of all that knowledge and just have an experience with noise, and punk rock and things that, or even metal that aren't necessarily as technical, but are a little more free. I don't know. Have you experienced a lot of that?
Yeah, absolutely. What's always interesting to me, I mean, not that I came to the bassoon late, I was in high school, but I didn't really take private lessons until I was in college.
Mm-hmm.
And so I came out of like the metal scene, like, you know, going to metal shows. And so my, like, I guess like aesthetic was mostly like this like harsher, more aggressive sound. And found myself very interested in like people who came from like conservatory in like modern music, reaching very similar conclusions despite coming from different worlds. Like to me, that is perpetually fascinating. I remember seeing Fuck the Facts play like a basement show, and I was like, some of their stuff is so rhythmically and harmonically complex, and I was talking to them about it, and I'm like, yeah, you know, like you're doing some like really interesting modal stuff, like how are you notating it, like what are you thinking? And they're like, honestly, we mostly do tablature and memorization. Like, we're not necessarily thinking like, oh, this is a diminished seventh chord. Like, we just know that this sounds dissonant in the way that we aesthetically want. And it's just so funny that like the institutionalization of aggressiveness is like such a interesting concept, but like I remember in graduate school, I think my thinking has changed a bit on this. I was called like a cultural imperialist because I was,
Wow.
I know, isn't that a strong word to call someone?
It is.
because I was so interested in the taking of the academy into DIY spaces because they were reaching similar conclusions. And now I'm less interested in the academy, and I'm actually interested more in the opposite of people outside of the academy making really interesting music. I think I've kind of gone in reverse in my thinking, where I wanted to talk to people outside of the academy about how they're making things, and now I'm more interested in like the deconstruction, I guess, if that's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I still kind of want to get my PhD because I think it's interesting, but like, I don't necessarily think you need to be in the conservatory to be making good or interesting or relevant music at all. And I think like popular music, you know, shows that. You know what I mean by popular music? Like, yeah, like non-art music. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You actually kind of answered the question that I was going to ask you, sort of, because I was going to ask you, well, first of all, you mentioned that you picked up the bassoon in high school, correct?
Yep.
And so my question was actually going to be if you had any particular influence or reason of doing that. And then I was also going to ask if you originally, like kind of what your musical background was. And you mentioned that you kind of came from the metal scene. Do you feel that coming from the metal scene informed your decision in any way whatsoever to start playing an instrument such as the bassoon?
Oh man, that's interesting. So when I was in 6th grade, you know, they do like the band, choose your band instrument thing. You know, I think a lot of schools do that. Like you do like a round robin, like, oh, you try the trombone, you try the oboe. And I remember when I was in middle school, I like saw the bassoon. I'm like, this is a fucking weird looking thing. I want to try it. And I tried it and I did really well on it, but my school was small enough where we only had one bassoon and there was already someone who played. So they're like, well, if you want to play a low instrument, why don't you play euphonium? It's like the brass version of the bassoon. And I was in band. I didn't really care about it, but it was something that was a low instrument kind of thing. And so when I moved, I still was in band in like middle school, but I really like just didn't want to play that. And I remember being in like, must have been 9th or 10th grade, that I asked my band director, because, you know, really small school, I was like, hey, do we have a bassoon? And we didn't have a bassoon player. And so he was like, oh, wow, like, that's really great that you're asking. Do you want to learn how to play it? And I was like, absolutely. That's exactly what I want to do. So I must have been like 15 or 16. So I was still playing electric bass at the time too. So I always kind of was drawn to like those low frequencies. And I think like the music that I was interested in playing on bassoon, it's hard to say, like, I didn't know how to express the sounds that I wanted when I was in high school on the instrument. I was just content to like learn how to play it and like how it worked. Yeah, so I wouldn't say that like being in metal really influenced the bassoon. It's more like my bassoon playing is, or sorry, I got it backwards. Metal had nothing to do with my choice of the bassoon. It was just a weird instrument, but metal and grindcore and noise definitely are like choices that I'm thinking about when I'm playing, even though I haven't quite figured out how. I'm still learning, I think, how to get the sounds that I want in a lot of ways.
Erik and I talked about that when we were reviewing your split with Will, about how we hear a lot of like sort of metal sounds kind of coming from the instruments there. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think like I had like an HM2 clone. Like the one thing that has always stuck with me, I was like really into like Swedish death metal, like early 90s, you know, Grave is like constantly playing in my car. And so I wanted that like buzzsaw sound. But I think like I mean, as much as I'd love to be in a death metal band, I don't know if I can be a death metal bassoonist. So like, I think like my improvisations and manner of playing is a little bit more drone doomy.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
One last annoying question, kind of.
Oh no.
Metal connection. What are some of your like favorite bands? Just this is a curiosity question.
Oh no, I love this question. So I love Gorguts. Gorguts is my favorite death metal band. Obscura was like the album that changed my life. I've seen them live like maybe 3 or 4 times. I wrote an academic article about them. Like, yeah, Gorguts is great. And then I'm trying to think who I'm listening to recently. I really like Grave, like I said, as far as like old school death metal goes. ISIS has always been like kind of a big influence. Yeah, I saw them live in 2010, like one of their last shows, which was super rad. I have like Disembowelment. That's like Death Doom, one release, but like so good. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I've been listening to all sorts of stuff recently, but I have a couple patches on my bassoon case, so that usually indicates what I'm listening to. I love Sun. Yeah, they're like a big influence, I think, in a lot of my playing. Actually, just like the big sounds and like the sweeping scapes and all that. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I feel like the music that I buy and consume is different than like what I'm listening to when I'm just like writing on my computer or like doing nothing. So it's like I just bought like I think it's Nazarani, Stephen O'Malley. It's a Stephen O'Malley noise project with Keiji Haino. So I was like really excited to find that, and so finding music like that. But then I've been like listening to a lot of Amy Winehouse, because like she's pretty great.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you gotta change it up sometime.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
That's great.
So you're kind of partial to death metal, would you say? That's, if you had a default, that's what you would land on?
Probably death metal, like death doom, I think specifically. I think when I was like in high school, I was more focused on like the bands and the genres and like being able to rattle off facts. But now I'm just so interested in like the sounds that bands are making, and my memory is so not good that like, I wear my Gorguts shirt, but if you ask me like a Gorguts song, I'll just be like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I just put it on and listen. Shit.
And Obscura is a great album. Like, but I have like a buddy who's like a rattler. Like he'll like, oh, this, and I'm just like, I've listened to this album 20 times, but like I don't remember song titles. Like, especially with death metal bands, I feel like it's like, oh, I know this track. Kind of, I don't know. Maybe I'm a poser, but like at this point, I don't really care.
I think if you're actually listening to it instead of just memorizing a bunch of shit about it, then you're the opposite of a poser.
Yeah, just like going on metal archives.
Right. That's the funny thing about metal. I love metal and I have listened to a lot of it, but I never really dig insanely deep into a specific band or genre. It's like, if I'm in the mood, I'll find something cool and I'll listen to it and I'll like it. And it seems like sometimes with metal, like being a big genre file or whatever and knowing everything is an important element of it. So.
Yeah, I definitely oscillate, I think, because like I'm very keyed into genre and like sound and like what makes a black metal album compared to like a death metal album, or what's the difference between death metal and grindcore. Oh, and then let's talk about like fucking power violence and like, I don't know. I like those little delineations, but like, and I can tell you like, oh, this is a good album, but what track number 5 is on that good album? I don't know. I listen to it in context. I'm not like pulling singles off of the album. I mean, yeah.
Right. I know people that are like huge metalheads, and I'll listen to 3 different death metal bands and think in my mind, they all kind of, there isn't too much of a difference between the 3 death metal bands, but this person will like rip my head off if I tell them that. Be like,
absolutely.
No, what are you talking about? The vocals are just a little bit less monster cookie or cookie monster. Monster cookies are good.
Yeah, I'll have a monster cookie.
Cookie monster,
Yeah.
And it just, I totally sympathize with you there, Eric. You should try a genre called punk rock. People are less there.
I don't know. Actually, I don't know about that. Oh shit.
Jeez. No,
yeah. If I call a band a 77 punk band and they're a crust band, I'm gonna fucking get in trouble, and I know that. So now I just don't even worry about it.
The tone of that harmonic is just slightly less distorted than that one.
I just figure I'm gonna be lame and enjoy music and not know anything about it, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah, that is kind of the worst thing, to enjoy music. I really hate that. So
the performance you did the other night, Gabi, was with Jake Jones, who I just met, and they were really cool. They were really nice to meet. I think I asked them if I could be in the project, and also you and Justin. But you were just running pedals, is that right?
Yeah.
Like, what was your sound? I couldn't figure that part out, or even was there one?
Oh yeah. So I was doing like a lot of no input, a contact mic, and like fucking with ground hum through my like standard bassoon rig. Was mostly it. I hate to say this, but like I feel like I'm just along for the ride with this project in some ways. I don't mean that in a bad way, but like it's not something that like I'm definitely there to help facilitate the sounds that they want. Like I don't take much like what's the word? Maybe, well, especially because this was like Jake's show. Like this, like how can I make the sounds that you want to make this happen? It's even though I'm playing with Justin, like this definitely when we played Crystal's No Touching sessions. Like this is very much so like a project that Justin wanted to come to fruition, and he asked us to play with him. So I hope it didn't sound negative. I just mean it.
Oh no, so, I don't think so.
Yeah, that it's not my project. I'm just.
So you felt sort of like maybe having like playing notes as a sound source would almost be too much of a direction.
Yeah, and I love just doing like bleep loops in a ghillie suit. Like it works for me, and I think I have good enough ears where I can tell which direction or help shape where things are supposed to go.
Right, for sure. So regarding pedals, did the idea to run your bassoon through pedals come almost instantaneously with playing the bassoon, or was that sort of a later realization, like, shit, I can just run this through a distortion pedal?
Well, so I was always getting in trouble in undergrad because I got to the bassoon late. I wasn't really interested in playing Mozart in standard rep. I was like, how do we get to the next sound source and squigglies? Like, I really wanted to play contemporary music, but a lot of that music's very challenging. And so I remember, I think this was either junior or senior year in music theory, we had the opportunity to write our own piece. And I had started experimenting with contact mics on the bassoon. And I didn't know I knew of other bassoonists doing weird things, but like I wasn't aware of electric bassoon.
Right.
And so I was like, well, if I put a contact mic here, I think I can get sounds. And I ran it through a delay pedal.
Yeah.
And wrote the piece so that you could play bassoon and delay. And so it just kind of kept evolving from there, where I liked pedals. I liked kind of the modularity of being able to pick which sound I liked. And honestly, the only reason I never learned Max, like the computer software that a lot of electronic musicians use, is because I don't have a laptop. I have a desktop. And so it wasn't functional to bring my desktop to gigs.
Right.
So I just became really analog heavy. Because like, oh, well, I can make a different pedal rig for whatever sound I want, and I can keep talking about electronics, and now I know a lot about how the bassoon works acoustically and what works best. And I like to be kind of like on my like little elitist high horse that like a lot of people don't know how to deal with the bassoon at all. And
sure.
I like being like, well, this is how you deal with the bassoon. I am the person who knows how to deal with the bassoon in this like very nuanced setting. Like my bassoon hero, we had met, she was someone whose career I'd been following since I was 18. So when like I finally met her, I had like my big fangirl moment, which is like still embarrassing for me. I don't know if she'll listen to this, but so one time, like, you know, you always have like imposter syndrome and stuff like that. She had somehow she wound up getting my phone number and vice versa, and she texted me and she's like, hey man, I'm playing a show in Germany and I need a pedal rig, what do you suggest? And I was like,
wow,
oh, you're asking me?
That's awesome.
Yeah, like that was like, holy shit.
Yeah. So did you steer her in the right direction?
I did. I even sent her a pedal in the mail that I wasn't using anymore because
nice.
I didn't like it. It was the Electroharmonics Canyon. I don't know. I found that it's too digital sounding for a delay, I think. So I was just like, you should use this.
Yeah. Who is your bassoon hero?
Rebecca Heller. So like like I guess we're kind of friends, but like and if she texts me, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah.
So have you seen a lot of, when you were in school, how long ago did you graduate then?
I finished my master's in 2016. So I've been out of the loop for like 5 years now.
Did you see things like grindcore or metal or even glitch or things like that working their way into the curriculum at all, or was it like still considered sort of out there?
You know, I feel like they teach music appreciation a little bit differently than they teach like the like music history courses, like, you know, what like the Western classical anthology. I think like I do recall like my teacher for music theory, she was really interested in drawing parallels. So like when we were talking about like collage, she had the class listen to Girl Talk.
Oh, wow. Cool.
As like an example of collage. And then she asked us to like find an example within music that we were listening to of that. So like I used an Old Man Bloom song.
Oh, cool.
I think it was like Rape Athena or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, this is kind of following that same paradigm. And so we would try and find examples. I have noticed that a lot of percussionists are like late to the Meshuggah game, which I think is like really funny. Like I remember being in high school and being like, Meshuggah, oh my God, like 7/4, like, you know, and I think everyone goes through that phase, especially classical musicians, because it's so technically complex. And so like I've seen like people, I guess, and you know, everyone gets to their own musical journey on their own pace, but like seeing younger composers and specifically mostly percussionists, I've noticed getting really into Meshuggah and like technical metal in general. But I wouldn't say that it was necessarily part of the curriculum. I think I often tried to insert metal into the curriculum myself by like using examples that I was listening to more than anything else.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
I bet there were a lot of students that were into like that kind of stuff, you know, like into metal outside of what they were studying.
Yeah, absolutely. I have like mates, my friend Carlos Cotelo Solares, he's in Wombat. He's like a big metal guy and he's a guitarist and violinist. So we bonded over pedals and metal. I haven't, you know, it's funny, not a lot of my friends are very interested in metal for the most part. So I don't get to like, someone asked me like once, like, why aren't you in a metal band? And I'm like, oh, mostly just because none of my friends or my musician friends necessarily want to do that. Or I just haven't met the right people to be in a metal band with, because I would love to do that. Not even on bassoon, just like in general.
You still play electric bass then?
I do, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So if you want to start a metal band.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it. I've had a dream of playing the upright in a doom metal band for years.
Oh, hell yeah.
And so maybe we could have two bassists.
Oh, yeah, like Spinal Tap style.
Yeah, well, yeah. And we could cover Spinal Tap songs.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a plan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I my like high school like dream was that I wanted to be a bass tech for like a touring death metal band.
Oh wow!
Not really knowing what that would mean financially or otherwise.
Yeah, right.
But I liked the idea of like fixing instruments and getting to go to all the sound checks and like not necessarily playing for the audience, but knowing all of the songs and then just kind of being there to facilitate. I think that's like still kind of my job anyway, but. I liked the idea of touring with a band that I actually liked, and
for sure. Yeah. And then when they get sick, you get to come on stage and take their place.
Yeah.
If you could pick any band to be a bass tech for, who would it be?
Oh shoot. Oh, that's hard. I mean, I would say Gorguts, I guess. Like that would just like if I could tour with Gorguts, that would be so cool. Especially because Luc Lemay, I don't want to call him the head of the band, but like it's his band, actually dropped out of conservatory. So he has some like really interesting, like classical trained ideas. Like he has said that like he doesn't even necessarily see the band as a circle pit band anymore. Like he wants, like he could definitely see it playing it like a new music.
Wow.
Events. And so I had asked him once because when I was analyzing some, like he had written a string quintet piece on one of the albums, Battle of the Camdo. And here I was saying that I don't know metal songs, and now I'm actually like, and I was like, man, this sounds a lot like Shostakovich String Quartet No. 7. And I was like, I'm going to email him and ask, like, if he doesn't email back, like, whatever, I at least got, and he's just like, LOL, I didn't think anyone would notice.
Nice.
So I was like, okay, I see what you're doing. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So you have a project called, is it ROT or is it ROT?
It'll be ROT.
So you're working on that. What does that consist of?
So the kind of impetus was back in January or February. I rented a contrabassoon for 2 weeks, kind of in an episode of Mania. I was like, you should have a contrabassoon in your life, which for the uninitiated, if the bassoon plays low notes, the contrabassoon plays an octave below the bassoon. So it's just like,
wow,
kind of stuff. And I wanted to make an album of material of this contra stuff, and I realized I didn't record enough material for a full length. And I remember I put like a Facebook post was like, should I get a lathe cut? How much material should be on the cassette?
I remember that post.
This whole thing, just because like I am interested in like the materiality of an object, and that maybe doesn't matter. So then I started kind of discussing it with various people, and I was like, well, what if we like did a side A, side B sort of situation? And then like, because I wasn't attached to some of the contra pieces that I did, that I could mix and match a bit more. And then I started thinking like, well, I'm really interested in like the idea of deconstructing the bassoon, and it's a wooden object. Like, what if we made this into like a visual sort of album, like, go into the woods, play the bassoon in the woods, like in the fall when things are starting to decompose. And then I found a really, really, really cheap broken bassoon. I haven't bought it yet, but it's still available. Some guy just has it. And I was like, well, what if you started like growing mushrooms and things out of the instrument and doing like time lapses and just kind of like really turning it into like a full sort of, so I don't know when this is going to happen. But I have
awesome.
big plans to kind of just like record the sounds of the bassoon, essentially rotting. And like being in the woods, and like what the resonance of that space is like with my instrument, because my instrument's 101 years old, and so like I'm interested in bringing it to a place with trees. And so I don't imagine that I'll be able to start working on it for real until the fall when things start to seasons start to change. But like I really should just go ahead and buy that bassoon, the other bassoon, and do the mushrooming and see what that is. Because I don't know if it'll be a cassette. I don't know if it'll just be a video. I like the idea of the cassette personally, but we'll kind of see. I think I'm finally getting motivated again to like work on my art. And that's like, you know, so I'm kind of trying to parse out what that looks like and what it is. And like, I never released anything solo before, actually. Like, so that's kind of scary too, in some ways.
So it'll be mostly organic sounding bassoon, are you thinking, or will it be a lot of processing too?
It'll be a lot of processing, hence like the rot anyway. Like I got really interested in like glitch media and stuff like that. So I think it's just rotting as a concept.
Right.
I think like I had like come up with like various titles that were related to that concept of decomposition. And I thought calling it decompose was a little too on the nose.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
So
I like it, but I understand what you mean.
Yeah. I'm interested, I think, to see what other bassoonists are up to, because I feel like I know a lot of the weird bassoonists, but all of them are in or around academia in some ways. And so I'm like, I like want to be part of that world, but because my aesthetics and maybe location, you know, is definitely leads me to be more in like the DIY scene, which is fine, but I always like have fantasies of like infiltrating academic bassoon world, you know.
Right. Yeah.
For sure. Have you met a lot of other bassoonists that you would say are sort of exploring the same realms as you, or?
Yeah, I've met like 4 of them, because there are only like 4 of them.
Right.
If that makes sense. Like, I actually, let me pull it up, because hold on, sorry, I'm looking at a slideshow I did because I put names down of people to listen to. So like the original like weirdo bassoonist, his name is Knut Sonstavold. He was one of Stockhausen's like pocket instrumentalists.
Okay.
And so I've never met him, but I really wanted to study with him because like as like the OG electronic bassoonist.
Right.
But I think he's of ill health or something. Like either way, I can't study with him unless I like go to Sweden and like knock on his door, kind of thing. He's not in an institution anymore. So again, he's, you know, vaguely academic. Rebecca Heller, she plays for the International Contemporary Ensemble, which is, you know, still very affiliated with art music and you know. But like she's doing some really amazing compositions that sound out of this world. The other person I could think of is Dana Jessen, who doesn't teach but is based in Oberlin. Rather, I should say she's not a bassoon instructor, but she teaches at Oberlin. And she does a lot of bassoon and electronics and improvisation. And she works with, I think, the Splinter Reeds group. And her album Carve had like some bassoon and electronics, some reed improvisation. Like it was very interesting. So talking to her just about like her trajectory was interesting because she studied improvisation specifically with a non-bassoonist, which is pretty neat. The other person that I'm going to study with actually in Germany, who is very much so on the same wavelength as me, is Daphne Vicente Sandoval. She did a whole album of like bassoon and styrofoam with Pascal Battis, and it's just like harsh noise, like sound processing. It is not a bassoon album. It is so cool.
Wow.
And so I've been in correspondence with her because she's going to be teaching at the Darmstadt Festival in Germany this summer. And so I was just like, I guess I'm going to go. And
Nice.
since Americans can enter Europe now, and I'm looking forward to working with her just because aesthetically, even though she does like the new complexity contemporary music thing, like she's also very interested in like the deconstruction of the bassoon, which I'm very excited about because that's kind of what I want to do artistically.
Right.
And then Catherine Young is again another, she teaches at Emory, but she's a composer, but she was part of like that whole Chicago new music scene, and she does some really neat stuff with bassoon and processed electronics. We actually haven't met. And then there's some younger bassoonists too. There's this New York-based bassoonist, Joey Goodry, who I think they're at the new school or Manhattan School now, and they're exploring not necessarily amplified bassoon, but like improvisation on bassoon. I'm trying to think of other, like, and then there's like the Meg Quigley Foundation, which is interested in like new music for bassoon, but like I don't want to shit talk them, but like a lot of the music it's not weird, it just happens to be new. Okay. But there's like a lot of young bassoonists coming out of that, and I'm sure that like there would be a weirdo or two.
Yeah. Right. Have you met very many other people like playing basement shows?
No,
okay.
No, I like.
You're just out there all floating in space by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe this is like, again, me being on my high horse, but like I am like the premier noise bassoonist. Like, nice. Like if you're interested in like processing your sound and like exploring like a different, I guess, dialogue musically, especially on a classical instrument, I think I'm who you want to talk to, especially about the bassoon. But I'm like, I don't get emails out of the blue or anything, but I also don't have much of a web presence. I'm very shy, so I'm still trying to get used to putting myself out there on the internet for people to find, because I think that's the one thing I do miss about grad school is I really liked teaching. And so like, but I think if I was to teach, I would have to go back to school, and get a DMA or PhD, but then I'd also have to play music that I'm not necessarily interested in, which is fine. Right. But I think I'm more interested in exploring my like own artistic voice than like playing Mozart for a jury. Personally, at least right now. Maybe that'll change in 2 years, because I do kind of miss standard repertoire in some ways.
Yeah. Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, thank you guys for having me. I'm always excited to talk about the bassoon. So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I love the fact that you're basically like, you're kind of just talking about, for lack of a better way to describe it, radicalizing a sort of, at least in terms of like American music and how we view like what's cool and what isn't, something as kind of uncool as like the bassoon.
Yeah.
You're making it really fucking cool. Like it's this really, and I love the fact that you're approaching an instrument like the bassoon from, through the filter of like a DIY punk, hardcore, noise, metal musician. I think that's awesome.
No, thank you. I've met people, non-bassoonists, like saxophonists and percussionists who I can like totally get down with a lot. But bassoon, I think because of the nature of the saxophone and drums, like there are more cross-genre things. Like, I mean, you think about like Colin Stetson, right? Like doing all those like crazy like saxophone-y things, and like, or even in jazz, because you have free jazz and like Ornette Coleman, like it's more of an instrument that is used to being weird outside of a purely academic setting, right? And so bassoonists, I think, aren't quite there yet in terms of weird visibility. I mean, Frank Zappa wrote a couple bassoon things here and there, but like I don't think of it, and I think, what's his name, Paul Hansen and Bela Fleck and the Flecktones does some like jazzy bassoon stuff, but there aren't a lot of, I think, at least to my knowledge, opportunities to showcase bassoon in a more as you said, like metal setting.
Yeah, I personally, almost every time a bassoon comes on, I'm like, oh shit, is that a bassoon? Because it's just such a human sounding instrument. It's so vocal. Yeah, it's like the French horn sort of has the same effect on me, where it's like, or the cello, like this sounds like a human voice, whereas most other things don't. The bassoon might be a little more of a nasally human voice, but it has that effect on me where it just has this cool mellow, it has like a natural, I don't know how to describe it, modulation to it. How like a string, when you bow a string, it's like that sound of the string scrape or being scraped by the bow is the sound. I sort of get that out of the bassoon too, that has this little bit of a flutter to it.
You can hear the overtones for sure.
Yeah. And I think that most instruments that have that element to it, I'm just way into the second they come. And I just think it's so cool that to hear that and understand that you can sort of amplify those elements of that sound. You know,
Yeah.
I don't feel like when I hear you play, it's just that you could have taken any instrument and processed it the same way, if that makes any sense.
No, thank you. I appreciate that
and
a lot.
so I think that for me, when I hear the bassoon and especially you're playing, I'm just kind of like, this has a human element to it, you know, because of that sort of vocal sound. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think like the bassoonry, I don't have one near me, but it's like, you know, this big, goes through the little vocal and then like comes out of this 5 foot tall thing. So it's like inherently restrictive in some ways. I mean, the instrument itself hasn't really changed in like 100 years. I mean, literally, like my instrument is 100 years old and it is like the same key work as like a modern instrument.
Wow.
And so like you have like this, like it's a weird instrument. It's not balanced. Like you can play in between the notes very easily. And that's something that I really like to do is like find like, say I'm playing a C and then I'm bending it down like a quarter tone and then harmonizing it to like a minor second. So you hear all of that like crunchiness in between instead of like, you know, like, oh, here's my like pure sine wave of
exactly
whatever.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Bassoon is a woodwind instrument, right, Gabby?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. I was trying to, you know, because I'm thinking of all of the different, like, you know, band instruments and stuff like that. I don't remember if we had a bassoon player in school band when I was in school band way back in 6th or 7th grade. Were you ever in school band, Eric?
Nope.
Really?
I was not.
I was only in it for like...
I wasn't allowed to do extracurriculars.
Like your parents?
By the school. No, my parents would have loved to have me out of the house. But no, I had detention every night after school. And so they knew that I was going to miss every practice and every whatever rehearsal. So I didn't get to sign up. I was very bad. I was a very naughty little boy.
I wasn't like particularly a bad student, but I mean, I did do some dumb stuff in high school, but one of the dumbest decisions I made was dropping out of school band in 7th grade. So I decided that I could substitute that by being a punk rock musician.
Oh yeah.
That's what we all do. That's why the noise scene has so many people involved.
I wish they would have had punk rock school, man. Then I would have aced everything.
Yeah. So the playing punk rock is sort of what you do when you don't make it in band, and then noise music is what you do when you can't make it in punk rock.
Yeah, that's
or if you age out of punk rock, then it used to be rockabilly. I think noise has replaced rockabilly of what you do over 40 when you're a 40-year-old punk.
So rockabilly, we're just a bunch of failed punk musicians?
Hell yeah. I used to call it the punk rock retirement plan. Yeah, it's like, well, I still get to have skulls on all my shirts.
So Mersbo is a punk rock retirement musician?
No, I don't know about that. But
the only thing is, though, I didn't know any rockabilly musicians.
No, there wasn't really a scene for that here.
Yeah, really. I wish there was, though. I kind of would like to see a rockabilly band in Muscatine.
I think they would do pretty well there, actually.
Yeah, maybe. They would call themselves the Cool Cats.
Yeah, the hot dog and the Cool Cats.
I'm pretty sure the Reverend Horton Heat played at Gabe's.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
definitely. I just wish that they would get the flying cars like the Neutrinos and the Ninja Turtles. Anyway.
Oh, what happened?
So like,
who are the Neutrinos?
Yeah, the Neutrino. Did you ever watch the Ninja Turtles at all? Like the '80s cartoon. There was.
Yeah.
Do you know what the Neutrinos were?
No.
So they were like these like rebels from Dimension X, and they had flying cars, and they looked like space rockabilly musicians.
Wow.
Yeah. One of them, Michelangelo, it was his love interest. Her name was Calla, I think, or something.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, I'll have to go back and watch.
Yeah. They called themselves the Neutrinos. That's the only way I would join a rockabilly band is if we could show up to every gig in a flying car.
Well,
that would be the only
someday.
Someday, yeah, exactly.
There's that classic accelerative thrust bullshit we've been missing. We've been so serious this whole episode. No. It's been nice talking to you. I honestly,
thank you for having me.
Yeah, I gotta.
It was great meeting you, Gabi.
Yeah, nice to meet you for real, or sort of for real.
Well, I'll let Dan know next time their performance is happening.
Absolutely.
I wasn't that sure I'd be going to the one on Saturday. Otherwise, I would have let Dan know. But next time.
Yeah, I wasn't bassooning then anyway, so.
That's true. Yeah. But we love gear. We love pedals.
Yeah.
All that
absolutely.
Stuff. And so
I would love to see what you do in a live context. For sure.
Yeah, that would be great. I think the closest thing I have right now, well, you can't see my feet, so you can't see me stepping on my pedals. But I did for the Oh My Ears festival, I did like a video performance where I had essentially we found this weird light fixture in the basement of the, and I wired it up and made it talk to my console so that if I played a frequency or if I played a pitch, the lights would turn on and off. So I was so excited about it. It was very cool, but like I was running it through my pedals, but like you can't, like it's the video's focus is on the light, not on the overhead of me like clicking around and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. The is probably quite the resource.
Don't tell. You can't say that too loud.
Do you got any stuff on YouTube right now?
I don't have a YouTube. I have a Vimeo, which I mean is maybe more hip. I don't know. I have a Vimeo and a SoundCloud, and I'm on Instagram. I mostly post what beer I'm drinking more so than bassoon stuff. But like I like the story because it's kind of ephemeral. So like maybe it must have been like two or 3 weeks ago. I hadn't really been playing bassoon much for reasons, and I decided to transcribe "Gimme Gimme Gimme" by ABBA.
Nice.
And so I like posted a little video of me playing the chorus to "Gimme Gimme Gimme." So like I'm trying to get better at social media, but it's
sure. Yeah,
I think if I had
you're not missing much. I hate it all.
Yeah.
But I still do it.
Yeah. I only do it for events, honestly. Like, if I need to know when stuff's happening, I don't need to, but I like to.
Right.
Otherwise, I don't know. Because I don't really talk to other people and stuff. So, that's how you find out about things, right? So.
It's really weird to think that at one time we had nothing like that. How did I ever find out that, like, somebody was playing at Gabe's in '99?
I have no idea.
It's like, it's exhausting just to think about that.
Yeah. Little pieces of paper.
Yeah.
We all had little pieces of paper to hand to
you had to go somewhere to see it posted up, like in downtown Iowa City or something.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would scour websites a lot, like to go, like when concerts were happening. Do you remember when? I mean, this wasn't too long. I guess it was like a decade ago now. When Yacht Club used to do Black Monday, which was their metal night.
Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That was like, I remember going on the Yacht Club website trying to figure out who was playing, and I never really took enough never made enough of an effort to go to those shows because it disappeared shortly thereafter.
Yeah, I guess I made it sound way more dramatic than it actually was. I guess like you did, there was Gabe's website and all that stuff. It's like, really, it was no different than it is now. I was just trying to make conversation.
I just was making up lies. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you have to do that when you have conversations.
Yeah, that's the whole point of talking to people. As far as I can tell, convince them of lies.
Yes.
Make everything sound either better or way worse than it actually was. One of the two. That's
fairly true.
Yeah.
No one's ever just told a story the way it happened. How boring would that be?
Yeah.
And then the cop was like, "Have a nice day." No, that sucks.
Oh, geez.
All right.
I got nothing else to add. I think I
successfully killed it. All right.
I mean, that was a good kill. It was a great kill. It was a clean kill.
Clean kill in my killing suit.
There you go.
Full circle.
Yeah. Well, Gabi, it was nice to have you on. And
yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Hopefully we can have you on again. You know,
yeah, I want to talk about pedals. I know
really
we excited.
The gear. Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay. So.
We need to do a part 2 where Erik talks about all the gear with you.
We just talked about gear.
Yeah, I'm currently looking for a reverb pedal with an expression out. So if you have any,
but not the Earthquaker device one.
Not that one. Don't get that one. Okay.
What's that one called?
The Afterneath.
Afterneath, which I think is a cool pedal, but Gabi didn't like some aspect of it. We didn't get into it. Part 2. We will.
It was the Astral Destiny that I didn't like. I don't know what I don't like about the Afterneath yet.
Oh, okay.
So we'll find out.
Nice.
You're making up lies here, Erik.
Yeah. All right. Well, look forward to part 2 where we talk almost exclusively about gear and maybe beer.
Oh, that'd be great.
As far as I can tell, that those are Gabi's favorite things.
Yeah, gear and beer. That's hell yeah.
All right.
Cool. Well, it was nice talking to you. And, I guess we should do our sort of like ending things. So, Gabi, do you want people to find you online?
You can find me on SoundCloud at GE Vanek. You can find me on Vimeo at GE Vanek, and then my Instagram, if you want to creep, is Vanek_@the-disco.
Yep, Vanek at the disco. Very funny.
I'm not sure if I know that we're either following. Well, I think you're following the Accelerativ Thrust.
I am.
Okay, but I don't know if I'm following you and you're following me on my personal.
Get on it.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, my account is set to private so that I can what's the word? Filter people. No, honestly, it's just because I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a professional account or a.
Right. You know.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of both. My stories are like stupid shit, and then my posts are like, I'm a successful musician, you know, so.
So mute whichever one of those two you don't want to.
Actually,
exactly.
Most of my posts on my personal page are exactly the same as the ones on the Accelerativ Thrust.
Yeah.
There's really no difference.
Yeah, but we are at Accelerativ Thrust, Accelerativ.Thrust something, right? That's the name? Yeah. At the Instagram page, and then we have a Facebook one. I don't know.
Accelerativ Thrust on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a YouTube. Well, I had a YouTube channel called that, but it's we did a total of 2 videos.
Yeah.
With us together, but then there's a whole bunch of other old videos with just me. That's kind of boring.
Well, there you go. Check that out, guys.
Check it all out.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Well, I think we took care of business there. So
take care of business.
Every day.
Every day.
My favorite part is working overtime, workout. Why would anyone ever sing anything like that? Workout. So
that is
like Alf sang it. I don't get it at all. Anyway.
That is a Muscatine cover band classic.
Shit. That's too full circle. Let's get out of here.
I ruined it, everybody. I ruined it. All right, Gabi, it was nice talking to you.
Thanks for having me, guys. Take it easy. Absolutely. I got to go to work now.
All right, good luck.
See you later.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good one. Bye.